So what's up, people, and welcome to the Mission 38 discussion of Spy Family. So Mission 38 came out a few days back, and as always, I will leave a link to that mission that is currently being shown for free at the publisher's official website, Manga Plus, at least for the North American audience. And so if you're interested and if you're in the region, go take a look at it before they pull it back, which they will do in a few weeks. So Mission 38 was quite interesting. It continues on from Mission 37, where Lloid Folger, or Agent Twilight, finally got to meet the main antagonist, who is Desmond Donovan. And of course, as readers, we are introduced to him for the first time as well. And one of the things that I always wondered about is exactly why is this antagonist being targeted as a potential antagonist. I mean, we always knew that Lloid, or Agent Twilight, was trying to infiltrate into the school to meet with this character. But why is this character so important? And what we find out in this chapter is that from the information that the government has received in the West, Desmond Donovan is plotting, or potentially plotting, to start a war between the East and the West. And that is what the government of Westalia and, of course, Agent Twilight is trying to prevent. And that's why he's infiltrating through Operation Strix. But in any case, in this chapter, he finally gets a chance to meet with Desmond Donovan. And this turned out to be very interesting. This is probably the most serious chapter so far in the entire series, because this was a very interesting cat and mouse discussion. I mean, the topic of the discussion was relatively straightforward. It was basically about Lloid apologizing for, if you remember, meme face Anya punching Damien in the face, which was quite enjoyable as far as I was concerned. But of course, as a father and as a topic of discussion to get to know Desmond Donovan, he was apologizing for the actions of Anya. And we find out that this is a very interesting character, because throughout this entire discussion up till now, Desmond Donovan has been basically showing a poker face, a very cold poker face. But right at that point of the apology, at least I was surprised at seeing this sort of reaction from him. A very sincere and very kind of heartwarming reaction. And it's like, wow, that's not what I expected. And of course, Agent Twilight is like, wow, that's not what I expected as well. But as you keep on going, you realize that this most likely is just the front, it's just the cover. You're not exactly sure because of the fact that Desmond Donovan doesn't show that much of an expression. But when he does, it goes to the extreme. So a few minutes later, when Damien starts complaining about his father's reaction to the apology, Donovan Desmond goes into a complete 180 and shows a very darker side of him. And so the question is what exactly is happening with Donovan Desmond? Are these sincere feelings that he's expressing that he is okay and he wants to show this through his kindness and he is disappointed with Damien and that's why he's darker? Or is this that these are the facial expressions that will be the most appropriate, is what Donovan is thinking? And so by showing these extreme forms of emotion, it's basically putting on the cover that even Lloid Folger, who is a very seasoned agent, is having a hard time getting through. And so he continues to go on, right, and talks about the importance of being a parent and trying to raise the children, but, the children being independent, he, of course, has a hard time controlling Anya. And what was interesting is at that point, you do see a very interesting philosophy come out of Donovan Desmond, in a sense that he does say, regardless of the blood, even your children, even if they share the same blood, are not you, and they're not much different than a stranger walking down the street. And so, how much do you trust them? How can you be close to them? That is hard to tell. And that is a very interesting statement because, of course, Lloid was trying to use the warm father position to try to open up to Donovan Desmond and, to have a heart-to-heart, father-to-father discussion. And yet Donovan Desmond comes back with an extremely cold statement of saying, yeah, just because they're children doesn't mean that they're close to you. And so this really gives a very interesting statement. You see these reactions where he can be extremely emotionally soft and sympathetic, but then you see an extremely cold side of him happen immediately afterwards. And so it really does make you wonder, is this guy kind of like a bipolar where he's extremely sympathetic 1 minute and then very cold the next? Or are these all just facial masks that this guy is wearing to try to keep his cover going and to interpret what is going on in the conversation? In other words, while Lloid is trying to figure out what Desmond Donovan's psychology is, most likely Donovan Desmond is also trying to figure out what Lloid Folger is. And what's interesting is at the very end of that conversation, Donovan Desmond finally states his interest and says, "You're a very interesting person," to Lloid Folger. And it looks like a very sincere statement, and Lloid Folger takes it as a good advancement in their interaction, that he was able to succeed in somehow getting in to become closer with Donovan Desmond. And so he's quite happy about it. But from my perspective, when I saw this scene, this was a very terrifying scene to me, because if he is wearing that mask and if he does express interest in Lloid Folger, is he expressing interest as another father of a friend of Damien's? Or is he expressing interest in the sense that he's like, you're an interesting character, let me find out more about you, let me get my men to slowly peel away that cover of yours one layer at a time, and once we find out who you really are, then let's bring you in and really start interrogating you. That may be what Donovan Desmond is saying with this comment. You don't know because of the fact that he is keeping his cards so close to his chest, but I think that statement is sincere. But is it sincere in a light way, sympathetic way, or is it sincere in a dark way? And we don't know yet. And because of that, that is quite worrisome. So this is very interesting. I mean, this is very much setting up the antagonist to be a very complex character. And this is going to be a difficult infiltration to Lloid Folger. As experienced as he is, this guy seems to be a challenge for him. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the future. Maybe I'm overthinking about this, and maybe all of these statements are more sincere, and maybe I've been reading too many dark comics to see warning flags when these types of comments come up. Because, of course, Spy Family is a relatively light-hearted comic. But you never know. Tatsuya Endo has, when necessary, brought out some very serious points. So it'll be interesting to see what the author does with this situation in the future. Now, the other one, of course, is that we got a little bit more heartfelt understanding of Damien. And because Desmond Donovan is so hard to read, even his son has a difficult time understanding who his father is. And that adds to all the difficulty and the stress that he has within the family. So this mission, or this chapter, did show some very interesting aspects with regards to the antagonist, the interaction between Lloid and Desmond Donovan, and a further understanding of Damien. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see just how things move on. But that's Mission 38. And what'd you think about it? I thought this was a very interesting chapter. And I got very much interested in what Operation Strix will move forward as. So thank you very much for listening, and as always, I'll continue on with more videos as further chapters come along, and I hope you join me at that time. Until the next episode, happy manga reading, and as always, Jaya, nice day, everyone.